This video comes at the request of you guys out there. I had a viewer, more than one viewer, who's contacted me in various ways. I think the last time I heard from somebody, they asked me to do this on Facebook, via Facebook. And it's the doing herringbone stitch with a 2-hole bead. Specifically, I'm going to do it with SuperDuos today. It's a beautiful look. It really is. It's very simple. Visually, it's hard to figure out what you're doing, but the beauty of it is it's very repetitive. And so once you get past those first 3 rows and you kind of see what you're doing, you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again till the end of the bracelet. So you'll pick it up quickly is basically what I'm saying. You may struggle with those first couple rows, the first couple times you do it. I think I had to start over 2 or 3 times when I first did this the very first time. So you may have to also, but I'm going to see if I can't help you out along the way. Let me show you what I'm talking about here, exactly what it looks like. So this is the beauty of herringbone stitch with 2-hole beads. In this case, I was using a mix of SuperDuos. It's not actually a mix, it's just a color that comes in this whole range of shades in the same bag. And this particular SuperDuo is Crystal Violet Rainbow. We sell this at color at JillWisemanDesigns.com. I'll pop a link up there, up there in the corner where the eye is. I'll pop a link up so that you can go straight to that color if you're falling in love with that the way I did. You'll notice that this bracelet is a little bit longer than Barbie size. It's because I made it long enough to fit me. That's how much I loved it, is I actually took the time to finish an entire sample for me. And not only did I finish this sample for me, but look, I did a 2-strand version also for me. So this is 4 stitches, 4 herringbone stitches wide. And this is, I think, the way that you see it most commonly. But for those of you who like something a little more petite, I wanted to make one that's just 2 stitches wide, so you could see that this makes also a beautiful bracelet, just with the 2 stitches wide. Like I said, getting started, a little bit tricky, but once you get going, super, super easy. And I whipped out both of these samples in the same evening. So that just goes to show you how quick and easy this is once you get going. So let's get started here. This was actually one of my failed initial samples, and I'm going to talk to you about this here in a second. But first, let me tell you that you're going to want to use a stopper bead when you start this. So I've already attached my stopper bead here. You want to make sure that that stopper bead is a different bead color and maybe type than the beads that you're using, because we don't want to accidentally stitch this bead in. We want to get rid of it later. If you haven't used a stopper bead before, all I did here is, actually let me take this off and I'll reattach it. I took the bead, my needle up through that bead. I left about, in this case I'm going to leave a little slightly longer tail so that I can use that tail to attach my clasp later. So in this case I'm going to leave about a 10-inch tail. And then I'm taking that same needle through the bead from the bottom edge, that tail edge, back through there again. This means that the thread is going to show on the outside of the bead. That's totally fine. That's what we want. This bead will still move a little bit on you. You can still move it, but it creates a stopping point when you're stringing on a strand of beads here so that they won't fall off the end of your thread while you kind of fumble around with them. So definitely want to use a stopper bead to start this out. Additionally, the one that I'm going to work on here today in the video as I show you is I'm going to use 2 colors, and so we're going to do kind of a striped effect in the 4-stitch version, okay? I wanted to show you this. Unfortunately, I put the clasp on this one, so it's a little harder to see, but I looked at a bunch of different people's sets of instructions as I was deciding which were the most optimum ways to do this herringbone. Some people have you just put a single seed bead on this starting edge in between the herringbone beads. In between the SuperDuo beads. But I felt like I saw too much thread when I did that. So instead, you'll notice here, let me kind of put my finger to block the clasp part. You'll notice I put 2 beads in between each one of those SuperDuos to start out, and I was much happier with the way that looks at the end. I don't have as much thread showing. So that's how I'm going to show you how to do it today. Okay, so we're going to pick up 2 seed beads and a SuperDuo. And you know what? I'm going to put the lighter color on the inside. We're going to do the darker color on the outside. As I pick up each SuperDuo, I'm going to kind of visually check to make sure that that second hole isn't blocked. So instead of going through and checking all those second holes initially, I'm going to pick them up at one at a time and check them at that point. Okay, so 2 seed beads and a SuperDuo, 2 seed beads and a SuperDuo. I'm going to make those 2 inside stitches the lighter color. 2 seed beads and a SuperDuo. And 2 seed beads and a SuperDuo. So we should have 4 SuperDuos. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see my pattern here. I've got the darker colors on the outside and the 2 lighter colors on the inside. Now, here is another spot where you've got some choices. I'm going to move this guy out of the way. We need to get back up to this top hole of this SuperDuo right here. And some people, like I did here, when I popped up, I just let my thread show on that outside little spot between those 2 holes in the SuperDuo. Because this is a darker bead and I'm using dark thread, look at this. You don't even see it on the bracelet. You do not see that thread at all. So for me, it doesn't bother me. Some people, it's going to bother you. So if you want to, if you're one of those people who it's going to bother, pick up 2 beads here and then pop through that top bead, or I'm sorry, the top hole of that SuperDuo. You can either use 2 11s, the way you are with the rest of your project, or if you want a slightly daintier look, you can use 2 15s right there. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to pop up through that hole and let my thread show. I'm going to be wild and crazy. And as I'm starting these first couple rows, what I'm going to do is try to kind of let it, rather than hold it in my hand the way I normally do, I'm going to kind of let it try to sit here on the pad so you can see better what's going on. Because this first row is a little bit of craziness. Okay, so we've turned around, we're ready to start the second row. Here's the repetition. You're picking up 1 seed bead and a SuperDuo. In this case, I'm coming out of that dark color, so I'm picking up a dark color. You're going to pass through the seed beads below and then the top hole of this next SuperDuo. So what that means is, and I think I'm going to have to pick this up because I just can't bring myself to do it while it's sitting there. So I'm going through the seed beads below. Okay. Pull that in. And then passing through the top hole of the SuperDuo that's right there. Okay. Now as I do this, you kind of got this weird wonky crazy stuff going on here. That's okay. That's what it's supposed to look like. It's normal. So we're going to repeat that same thing. So we're picking up 1 seed bead, 1 SuperDuo. This time, because we're coming out of the lighter color, I'm picking up the lighter color, passing through those 2 seed beads below, kind of pinch it in my fingers to try to control what's going on here, tighten it up, pass through the top hole of that SuperDuo. Okay, same thing, pick up a seed bead. I'm coming out of a light color, so I'm picking up a light color, pass through those seed beads below, and then passing through the top hole of that SuperDuo. Okay, but here's the thing. We've only added 3 new SuperDuos. We added here, here, and here. Those are our sticky outies. We need to do each row with 4 SuperDuos. So way over here, you'll notice that we don't have another SuperDuo to go through. We just have these 2 seed beads. So we're going to work with that. We're picking up our seed bead, and our SuperDuo. This time, because I'm coming out of that dark color, I'm picking up the dark color. I'm passing through those 2 seed beads. You know what? If I were wearing my fancy schmancy Craft Optics magnifiers, I could see this and I wouldn't be fumbling. There we go. Okay, like so. Notice how it's curving, totally normal at this point. By the time we get to the 3rd row, it's not going to curve anymore. So I'm going to turn it over because I like to always work in the same direction. And this is where I'm now going to either pick up a couple of beads here to hide the thread, or I'm just going to pop up through that top hole in the SuperDuo right there. That's my turnaround. And notice as I pulled that, see how those beads all of a sudden now sit alongside that edge of the SuperDuo. And we're going to repeat the same thing over and over again. So, picking up a seed bead, I'm coming out of the dark SuperDuo, so I'm picking up another dark one. I'm passing through, now it's just going to be single seed beads, the single seed bead. And then right up through that top hole of the next SuperDuo right there. And as I tighten, we're going to start seeing some of this curve come out of here. So seed bead, SuperDuo, pass through the seed bead right there and the top hole of the next SuperDuo. Now don't get confused, it's not this one that the seed bead is already attached to. There's already thread going through that top hole of that SuperDuo. So we want to go through the sticky outy SuperDuo, okay? So it's seed bead and that top hole of the sticky outy SuperDuo. As we tighten, there it goes, it's starting to flatten out again. So we're picking up a seed bead and a SuperDuo, passing through the seed bead and the next sticky outy top hole. Okay, tightening up. And then here we are on that funky turn on the end. So all we've got is that seed bead there, but we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to pick up our seed bead and our SuperDuo, pass through the seed bead, and then I flip it so I can now go in the same direction, and I just let my thread show, or I pick up 2 seed beads here and then pass through that top hole. I'm going to do one more round here, or one more row, and when I do the turnaround on the other side, I'm going to pick up the 2 beads so you can see what that looks like. So I'm going to do this one just a little bit faster. And you can see now it's all straightened out. I've got this going pretty good, and now everything is laying like it should. Now I want you to know that I made that look pretty easy. It's because I've done quite a few of these, so you're going to feel kind of awkward and stuff, but just remember that you're in charge, not the beads, usually. Okay, so I picked up my seed bead and my SuperDuo, packing through the seed bead, top hole of the SuperDuo, tighten up, seed bead. I'm coming out of that lighter color one, so that's the color SuperDuo I'm picking up. Like so. Doing the next one, seed bead through the top hole of the SuperDuo. Need to add my last SuperDuo on this row, which is the dark purple. That's the purple metallic suede. And passing through the seed bead. So that's the end of that row. Flipping it. Need to get back up to the top to start the next row. So normally what I've been doing is just letting my thread show there, but let me show you what it looks like if we go ahead and add a couple of seed beads on that outside edge before we go up through there. So just kind of adds just a little bit of a rounded edge. And y'all, that's it. You're just going to keep doing that back and forth and back and forth. And you can see how fast this works up because the SuperDuos are large. So you're adding the length really quickly, and you're only doing 4 stitches as you go along back and forth. So this is a project that can be done really nicely quickly. And I find the rhythm of it very, very soothing. Now here's one of the interesting things about this. I'm showing you with SuperDuos, but this technique, same exact technique, can be used with oh gosh, so many of the other 2-hole beads with Rullas, with half Tila beads. It looks really beautiful. I am dying to make one using the new quarter Tila beads, which are very, very small and skinny, but I think it would make a beautiful dramatic effect. You can use this with, let's see here, I've actually made myself a list. Oh, it looks like I took my list off. But brick beads you could use it with. You could use it with, oh, let's see, I've started one with iris duos. So we have a plethora of great 2-hole beads on the market now, and it looks beautiful. So here I did the double on this side too. So it is also gorgeous with the 2 seed beads on the side. So it's up to you whether you want to let that thread show or put those beads on the side. You're just going to keep going until you get to the very end. So let's pretend that this is the end of our bracelet here and we need to finish it up and attach a clasp. Well, we started out with those 2 beads here, right? So now what we're going to do to mimic that same look on this other end is we're just going to add 2 beads in between each one of those sticky outy SuperDuos. So I picked up 2 seed beads and I'm passing through the next top hole there. And then 2 seed beads through the next top hole. 2 seed beads through the next top hole. On this last one, what do we do here, right? Because we've got no place to attach them. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to work backwards a little bit. So on this last set of 2 beads, seed beads that we want to add, we're going to actually attach it by going backwards through the seed bead that's there. And it's going to create like a little corner, just like so, a little triangle corner. And there we go. We're just going to pretend that that's that wide instead of that wide. And you would attach your clasp. Very easy to do. When we come back, I'm going to show you exactly how easy it is to do. So once you've got the length of your bracelet, then it's time for the clasp. And the clasp closure is really pretty simple. I'm going to walk you through it. So let's get close up here on the beads. You have several different options here for a closure. When you're using something, using the wider version where we've done 4 stitches of the herringbone here, then you've got multiple attachment points. What I did on mine here is I used this new closure that I have in our store. It is a tube closure, which is not anything new. What's new is that these loops, instead of sitting flat and horizontal to the tube, they are oriented vertically, so that it's really easy to do a beaded loop around the hole here on the tube clasp and have it all sit in the right orientation. I actually have an entire video on how to do this particular attachment, and I will pop a link up right under that eye in the corner there, and if you click that link, I will take you step by step for how I did this attachment. Now on the shorter version, or the not quite as wide version here, you have fewer attachment points here on the end, so you can either attach from the SuperDuos, the 2 SuperDuos on the end, or you can attach from the 2 sets of seed beads there on the end. And in this particular case, on this version right here, I used this sample to show how to use one of these wire guardians to attach a toggle closure. Again, I will pop a link up under that eye for the video where I take you through the entire attachment process here. But as long as you know that you can attach and create a loop of seed beads from any one of those 4 points here in the end, you're good to go. But if you do like the look and the security of this wire guardian, then I do have a whole video showing how to use the wire guardian and a jump ring here so that this is a nice flat attachment and your clasp, your toggle clasp, doesn't end up kind of in this 90-degree angle orientation instead of nice and flat the way it is here. So I know that's kind of a bummer to get bumped off to another video, but there's so much information that I don't want to try to cram it all in this one video. I want you to be able to get the full set of information on both of those closures because they're really good, overall useful information for you to have. So it certainly applies to these herringbone bracelets, but it also applies to other beaded projects that you use, so that you might make. So I think it's really worth going to check out both those videos. I hope you enjoy making your herringbone with SuperDuos. I cannot wait to, well, first of all, I'm loving this 2-color version that I started here in the video. So first up, I'm gonna finish that. And then I'm gonna go work with the Rullas and the brick beads and the Tilas and the half Tilas and the quarter Tilas and every other 2-hole bead I can find. And I'll show you as I work through them all. Happy beading.